This video is sponsored by you, link to our channel and in the description along with the Discord. Hello there, Arknights' most excited YouTuber here, and for once I come at you with genuine, immense, giddy joy. This was by far the best stream this game has ever had since launch by a wide margin, and I've been here for all of them. I've seen the ancient texts be written. I was here before we had the fucking claim all button, you ungrateful whippersnappers. Every single new thing announced was so fucking hype, from the open 2.5D areas you can walk around in with the chibis reminiscent of modern Paper Mario games, to the new multiplayer Pokemon event, to Stronghold Protocol being seasonal, to Touch Vector Breakthrough, to the pixel art event, to Polymuseum 2, to the new facility which just makes materials for you, to the fucking Persona 3 collab. Though I'd have preferred Persona 4, since as we all know, that is the best Persona game. Honestly, between the Monster Hunter collabs and the Persona collabs, this shit seems engineered to bribe me specifically. I've had to deep clean my household from the gallons of ejaculate I have emitted. Plus, the vibes were immaculate the entire stream. I did genuinely tear up during the final Angelina music video. The entire thing felt like a tribute to the game and the 7 years we've spent with it, which is odd to come from a summer stream. Regarding the operators, call me Nostradamus the way I saw this shit coming. Angelina Alter, which is good in IS-7 with Takeoff and Levitate. Here's the short of it, we don't have numbers yet, we don't even have modules yet, and these operators are literally not even in the fucking game as of now, so take everything with an ocean's worth of salt. These are early impressions and speculations from someone with 7 years of experience in this game. The TLDR on Angelina, for all of you with an attention span as short as the shelf life of the average Sony live service release, is that she's yet another unit like Kal'tsit and Corrosion, and reinforces the direction Year 8 seems to be taking, that of units that are not utterly meta and game-breaking, like Exusiai 2, Silverash 2 or Wang, but still very good on their own merits. Ange 2 does not have insane boss killer Wang tier damage, nor does she have particularly versatile utility. But when it comes to Ange 2 in particular, the environment Hypergriff is making at the time of her release, that being IS-7 and surrounding events, seems to be catered to her. But how Year 8 seems to be making environments and modes to cater to new units and new effects is a whole other discussion for a whole other video. Angelina Alter is a 6-star Sky Ranger. To remind you, this means she has the Takeoff effect, which makes her float up in the air. Takeoff is one of the best effects in the entire game, as it allows to block aerial enemies, but also makes it so the operator is entirely untargetable by ground enemies, even if the enemy has a ranged attack. We saw how powerful this effect is with Kal'tsit, who has it permanently and passively, making her untargetable all the time by the vast majority of things in the game. It makes an otherwise kind of average unit actually really good. Talent 1 is just extra arts damage on her attacks. Enemies with 3 weight or less get even more damage, and while taking off, she applies weightless to every enemy in range. As a reminder, weightless reduces enemy weight by 1. Talent 2 has it so while Angelina is on the field, all operators that have taken off gain increased attack and restore a portion of their max HP when blocking. So, knowing all this, skill 1 has her Takeoff immediately on deployment. Her range expands, her attack increases, and she hits 2 enemies. This, on its own, is not a super special skill, and it wasn't shown off much in the stream. You'd be using this for the takeoff utility, as some maps, especially in IS-7, have enemies pre-placed that would instantly snipe whoever else you put down. This cannot happen to units who are taking off. There is also the chance this might be an infinite skill, and honestly I hope it is, because it would make it considerably better and worth using regularly. Otherwise it would kind of be reheating Contrail's nachos. Skill 2 is where we start seeing some of that Angelina sauce. We got her doing tricks on the enemies. Attack range expands, she glides forward for 4 tiles ahead of her and takes off. This causes all enemies in that range to be levitated if they are ground enemies, or grounded if they are aerial enemies. This is a new effect, and it's just the opposite of levitate. It forces aerial enemies to flop over on the ground like a fear. This both allows Angelina to dunk aerial enemies into holes, but also lets ground units without ranged attacks beat on those enemies, as shown by Angelina Alter here. And let me tell you, I wish that was me. After performing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 moves on the enemies, Angelina gets increased attacks, shorten attack interval, attacks deal arts damage, and she attacks up to 5 enemies, reminiscent of her original skill tree. Finally, we have the new skill tree. She takes off, can attack up to 3 enemies plus 1 aerial enemy, attack increases, she gains Sanctuary against aerial enemies, her attack range expands to a fuck ton, and the surrounding 8 tiles around her are treated as additional range. This is important because Angelina flies around instead of being stationary, targeting blockable aerial enemies in her original range for her movement, assuming she's not blocking already. This is an ammo skill and can be deactivated manually, after which it seems she returns to her original tile. Remember, she not only has the Sanctuary, but also heal from talent too, since she will rapidly approach the enemy's location to block them. Finally, this skill deals physical damage. The conclusion on Angelina is that she doesn't have a game-breaking damage, and she doesn't have a game-breaking utility either. So, much like the Year 8 limited banner before her, she is a tier below the Year 7 limited banners. However, not only is she still really good, not only does she have a takeoff utility, which is one of the best utilities in the game, not only does she have the unique grounded effect, but you have to look at the context of Year 8. Both Kal'tsit Alter and Closure are, on their own, rather average units by modern standards. However, the content we are getting since their release in Year 8 seems to be catering to them. CCB5 had a stage mechanic which reduced the DP generation, and DP risks seemingly manufactured to make Closure the only viable vanguard at high points due to her death talent. Same goes for Kal'tsit. IS-7 is shilling takeoff really hard. It has stages with pre-placed enemies that snipe anyone else you put down, bosses that simply cannot hit flying operators, and relics that interact with takeoff. So, while she may appear a cut below the rest on paper, keep in mind Year 8 seems to be catering to what she offers. Also, takeoff in itself is already incredibly valuable. Look at Kal'tsit Alter. She'd be flipping burgers at McDonald's if it wasn't for her takeoff effect. Hi, it's SUPAH from the future here, this time recording on my phone, so this is why I sound like this. I wanted to address something. Don't get it twisted just because skill 3 is the flashy skill where she flies around. Skill 2 is probably going to be her best skill. For many years now, this game has been following a design philosophy where for a lot of 6 stars, skill 2 is their reliable main skill, and skill 3 is kind of the gimmick skill for niche situations. And Angelina is very much the case. Skill 3 is there to lock aerial enemies, which is a complete of a niche. It's kind of useless. Skill 2, on the other hand, especially if it has quick skill cycles, is just a DPS option that targets 5 enemies, makes her invulnerable, and immobilizes everyone in range. Finally, we have Thumpy, the new 6-star primal defender that applies the corrosion element and looks super girly pop. I'll tell you right now, she doesn't seem super good, but has one gimmick in her skill tree that might be incredibly useful in high difficulty content. And as usual, her module could flip her entire kit around whenever it is revealed. As a reminder, Corrosion Burst makes the enemy permanently lose 120 defense and get dealt 5000 elemental damage, so not that great to begin with. Even a B+ defense stat needs like 8 bursts of corrosion to completely remove the enemy's defense. Given you don't need to deplete the defense completely, just enough for your DPS to deal damage, but still. Talent 1 reduces elemental damage taken. When this unit deals physical damage, she additionally inflicts a certain percent of her attack as corrosion, and reduces the corrosion cooldown on that enemy for a certain duration. Talent 2 makes it so when enemies that took damage from Thumpy trigger corrosion, Thumpy gains defense and barrier up to a limit. Skill 1 is really simple. Attack and defense increase, and she pushes all blocked enemies with attacks. Basically, on power creep in the big year 2026. Skill 2 has attack and defense increase, and she sprays Gorilla Glue on 4 passable ground tiles ahead. The Gorilla Glue channels the power of the gorilla from the adverts to deal physical damage and slow. When other operators deal damage to enemies stuck in the Gorilla Glue, they also inflict corrosion scaling off of Thumpy's attack. This is by far the best way to apply corrosion in the game. It's not only a lot of elemental damage, but also a debuff so that your physical units can more reliably deal damage. Thumpy seems to understand the main weakness of corrosion, that being you need to proc it a lot for it to matter, and she addresses it by making it so she procs it a lot. And admittedly, by proccing it a lot, this is some pretty good elemental damage stacking up over time. Finally, skill 3 increases block count, attack, defense, and she attacks all blocked enemies. She then deploys a fucking conveyor belt straight from Enfield Industries, which causes unblocked enemies with a weight of 4 or less to be pulled towards Thumpy and take physical damage every second. When corrosion is triggered on this conveyor belt, defense is reduced even more. So, important thing to note, this conveyor belt is not shift and it's not lure. It is straight up its own unique conveyor belt mechanic. Zaro, who cannot be shifted, was pulled by it, and it would bypass the very few enemies immune to lure, which, for reference, is Tragodia's skill 2's effect. This conveyor belt is what could make her really good in advanced high difficulty play. We all know enemy displacement is one of, if not the strongest effect in the game. It's a type of control over the enemy that is simply too valuable to ever pass up. The question becomes, why the fuck would you ever use this instead of Tragodia's cat? And the reason is because it is its own unique, specific conveyor belt mechanic. It bypasses immunities and is only vulnerable to high weight. Man, if only there was a way to reduce enemy weight on the same banner. All in all, Thumpy is very tightly designed. She fixes the issue with corrosion and has a very unique, powerful effect on skill 3. but she doesn't particularly excel at anything. She could be a really good tank, akin to Oshiguma or Nyan, depending on her exact numbers. If nothing else, the conveyor belt mechanic feels like incredibly ominous foreshadowing for the broken but ultimately niche shit CN players can pull off with it, which is not really stuff that applies to the average player experience. So who knows, the conveyor belt could break the game in half, or as I suspect, she would be rather niche but incredibly powerful in her niche. And that's all, max out your Gummy, bye. Boo! Hi, jump scared you. Welcome to the outro. Man, what the fuck? They cooked with this livestream. It's like the best one and also a very good tribute to the game. This is something you would expect from, you know, an anniversary event, not the Summer Carnival. Like, why did the fucking Summer Carnival get me emotional? Anyway, thank you for watching, and thank you to the members, in particular, Bean Raditz, Dr. Mom Hunter, Patan, Nanneko, Mr. Ler, Efran, Mr. Lazy Lemon, Bartolux, Camelo Wishader, Viper Sushi, Yozu, Nega PXL, Francisco Nunes, Starlight Era, Yuzu Watcha, Alclane, Noel Runes, Kindred 2, Lizard King, Ascended Azen, Nemotic, Drummer Slink, Ron Chef, Cincentura, Ilio, Divincente, Green Box, Davius, Swamp Ninja, Polo T, QX12, Terno Raptor, Saint Shinjaku, Never Far Off, Zephyrinix, Nupo, I Want Free Money, Barubarf, Bellicist 1, Nebiko, Steffer 7, Girodezu, Transit Peppers, Social Vares, Sebistem, San Kenshi, Chromolachan, 5 QTC, Junos Gatekeeper, Cabotin, and Armendra, Yuvu, Naking of Rams, and that guy with 2 names. Goodbye.